Beautiful people, beautiful people, beautiful people. Welcome back to another season of Who Can Relate. This is the third season. This is part 1. I have been gone for quite some time, and this time I'm not sorry for that. Let me start off with that. I've been very productive with my time off. It's been a lot of healing, a lot of maturing, a lot of learning, more importantly, a lot of unlearning, a lot of quality time spent, and so on and so forth. And I feel like I'm back better than ever, and I'm really excited to give you this full season. And again, this will be part 1 of the full season, but it's going to be good. It's going to be different than the past. This time I have Shea as my full-time co-host, and I just want to explain a little bit of kind of what's to come here this season. Let's start with part 1. So part 1 is going to be a little bit different. I have Shea and we're going to go over 8 different topics. I believe they're pretty strong, powerful topics, and ones we can all relate to, whether you're in a relationship, single, in a marriage, just coming off of a breakup, etc. Now, part 2 is going to be Shea and I as well, still, but with a guest. Maybe 1 guest, maybe 2 guests, maybe 3 guests. You have to wait to find out. When this part 2 will come out, you also have to wait to find out. I have filmed 2 of the 7 for part 2, so it'll be 15 total for season 3. 8 in part 1, 7 in part 2. And I just thought this would be a really cool, unique way. I've never seen this been done before in the podcast world. Whether that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, we will soon find out. And the algorithm, we'll see how it holds up. But I just thought, you know what? I personally learn the most when I'm able to binge something, whether it's a book, TV show, etc. And I thought, why not create it with Who Can Relate? I mean, I am my own boss. I make the schedule. I do what I want to do. So why not? So I hope it works that well for you when it comes to being able to binge and being able to retain so much more information. So in this way, you don't have to worry about, it's Tuesday, is JD put on an episode, what's going on? This is just all at once. Here you go. Have at it and binge your little heart out. So without further ado, let's kick off season 3, part 1. It's your boy, the Portuguese lover. Have fun. Masters.
Adios, Masters. Sayonara. I was a little worried that you were going to keep that on in the background.
All right.
Do I have anything in my teeth?
No. Well, we're back.
We are back. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I've waited a long time.
Yeah, sure you have. Well, this will be the
Start. The beginning.
Yeah, kind of just like the intro. Why don't you start us off?
That's not fair.
Why?
I don't know where to start us off. I'm not a good...
What have you been up to?
Where did we last leave off?
Conflict resolution.
Didn't we already come back from Hawaii?
Yeah.
So we've already talked about...
I mean, we didn't talk about Hawaii, but I can go first. It's not that hard.
No.
Lately, as I've been very, I guess, kind of vocal, and also I've been posting a lot, really serious about my 2023 resolutions. Every month I'm choosing a different one. This is now April. My April resolution is to meditate every day for at least 10 minutes. January, for anyone who doesn't know, was the 5 a.m. club. February was to read 4 books. March was a 30-day hot yoga challenge. And now we're rolling with meditation for 10 minutes a day. And it has been so amazing for these resolutions. I've created it because I'm not good at just sticking to one thing besides marriage.
I thought your monthly resolutions were supposed to be like really hard things.
It is.
Meditation for 10 minutes.
When's the last time you meditated for 31 days?
True.
Pretty hard. Last time I checked. So it's extreme is the theme. So
Yeah.
it is extreme for me to meditate every single day. It's extreme to take a hot yoga class every single day. I
Yeah.
was doing it 3 times a week before. It's extreme to read 4 books in 1 month, and I think it's extreme to wake up at 5 a.m. if you don't have to. And I sure as hell didn't work in January, and I sure as hell didn't have to wake up at 5 a.m. So, but yeah, it's just been really cool and really great for my mental health, my emotional health, my physical health. I've really enjoyed like accomplishing these resolutions every month. It feels really good to check them off the list, and I'm really happy I created them. And for anyone who's asking, like, well, are you going to stick to it? I'm not going to do yoga every single day. We'll see about meditation, maybe. And the 5 a.m. club, I was doing really well for a while, even after January. I got to get back on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't plan on reading 4 books a month, but I will read at least 2. So it's just
What 4 books did you read?
I read.
I'm sure they're going to want to know.
Yeah. No particular order. I read Think Again. I read David Goggins' Never Finished. I read The 5 Love Languages for Men again, because I needed a recap. And then I read
Morning Miracle.
No, I swapped. I swapped that for the 5 Love Languages for Men. I read The 4 Seasons of Marriage. I'm sorry, by Gary Chapman. And the 4th one was the I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which did I tell you he's got a Netflix
Yeah, you sent
show
it to me. I
coming
can't
out?
wait.
Yeah, it comes out this month, so that'll be cool.
Yeah.
So anyways.
By the way, side note.
Yeah.
That was a book I got for Justin in like 2018.
2018, yeah.
I feel like it was before the wedding.
Yeah, I think it was.
Or maybe the year of the wedding. But
And side note, Justin doesn't do well when people tell him what to do. It's got to be kind of on his discovery and his terms. But such is life, you know what I mean? Like, I think if I would have read that at that time, I might not have taken it as seriously as I did now.
yeah.
So better late than never.
That's why I said the other day, too, when you were like, if I would have met you sooner, I would have had A, B, and C figured out. And I was like, I don't really agree with that. I feel like you wouldn't have.
You can't help but think it, though.
Yeah.
You know, like we all have that moment of like, if only I would have started this back when,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but, timing again and everything happens for a reason. So
Yeah.
better late than never. And still rolling with golf. Heavy. I love it. Getting really good. And
I love how you just like light up when you talk about golf.
okay.
Like your whole like glow.
It's a love I have yet to experience.
You were like talking about all the bugs, all of your challenges, all of your New Year's new month resolutions, and then you're like, and of course I'm still golfing.
You know,
you just became so smitten.
I'll explain why. I've let people know why golf is so important to me for a lot of reasons. My mental health is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm outdoors is another. I'm one with nature. I get to ground and all that. But I think what I really love about golf is I finally found something that feeds my competitive juices.
Yeah.
Because, I was in basketball leagues and stuff, but I'm not 22 anymore. I can't move the way I want to. I can't jump the way I want to. And I'm also afraid, like, if I get hurt now, it's a whole different recovery time. So, and I also can't work. So I think with golf, it's like, this is something, and it's so much harder than any other sport I've ever done. So it's just this like itch you want to scratch every single time you go out. And when you do scratch it, it just hits the spot.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's what I've been up to. Are you warmed up now, honey?
I mean,
Ready to go?
I just feel like my been up to isn't as exciting as yours. Like I don't have any New Year's resolutions that I've been doing, although, occasionally I've been waking up when you wake up.
Yeah.
I naturally just wake up by like 6:30. So I feel like, but when you were doing the 5 a.m., I tried to do that a couple times with you or a few times. I don't know. Working out more, trying to get my, 25-year-old body back.
You got it, love.
And just working on work stuff. And I think this was the year that last year was a lot of like the last 2 years was a lot of saving for me. And now I'm just trying to maneuver my money in the right ways to create a retirement plan, more savings and more return on my money. So yeah.
Yep.
Our money.
It's it's funny you say, like, you know, your update maybe isn't as
exciting
or elaborate, I guess, as mine. And it makes me think, because J. Cole was talking about something on an interview, and he was basically saying how he envies people who are totally okay with like living a routine, kind of normal, not to put a negative term on normal, but, you know, not trying to change the world, you know, not trying to like come up with some groundbreaking thing or whatever, like just kind of flying under the radar and being consistent with it. And I was like, God, I relate to that heavy. Like there's a big part of me that wishes I wasn't so ambitious. I mean, like,
I mean, I'm super ambitious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that I don't know. I feel like.
Well, I guess when I mean ambitious, I'm talking about like, I'm ambitious in so many different things, I guess, if you will. Like, obviously the podcast, my consultation business, speaking engagements, TV appearances, and these are like huge things.
I think it's like you're entering another realm of a career path, you know, so it takes a lot more startup, you know.
Yeah, right.
And it's in the realm of a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
Versus I feel like I'm doing what I've been doing since I was 19 years old.
Right. That's
and
true.
So yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But my stuff is still fun.
No, yeah, for sure. I think, like, I don't know. I just have,
I
put a lot of pressure on myself, and then it's like, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's a lot when you're going into a whole different realm of a career path that you see being so big, you know, and kind of getting started or a late start. Better late than never, but it just feels overwhelming with all the things that you need to do. And
yeah, that's true. Very true.
And then being like a creative person, I feel like your mind probably goes a million miles an hour with like the creativity of like what more you can do that can make it even better.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why I golf, because it's an outlet. It's a balance. Pardon the interruption. Just wanted to hop in here really quick for a couple reminders. The first reminder is the merch is available and it is back better than ever. I have some beautiful, super dope new designs, especially with the gratitude for the win, therapy for the win, and the vulnerability and normalizing that for men. Those 3 designs are brand new. I personally love them, and I'm really excited to showcase them to you guys, and I'm hoping you have the same feeling that I do. So you can go get those right now at justindavis.life. That's justindavis.life. Of course, the link will be in the description below, whether you're listening or watching this. But again, just a friendly reminder, still merch out here. Got some long sleeves, got some crew neck sweatshirts, got some hoodies, got some t-shirts, whatever you need, whatever climate and season you're in. By the way, this time, as I switch some stuff around, shipping worldwide. I repeat, shipping worldwide. So all the international followers and the beautiful supporters of the community, I'm sorry about the past, but it's a new day. Get your merch too. It costs you a little pretty penny, because shipping overseas apparently is crazy expensive, as I came to find out. But nonetheless, we are now shipping internationally. So justindavis.life, go get yours, support your boy, and spread the message. Some beautiful ones out there. Back to the episode. And then in terms of us, actually, what would you rate us on a scale of 1 to 10 currently?
I personally feel like we've never been better. Yeah.
So what would you rate us on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say 9.5. Yeah.
So we've been a 10.
Well, I'm trying to be conservative, I guess.
Yeah.
I think being that we've never been better, I would definitely say we're a 10. Like, I feel like in all areas of a relationship and what, you know, the cocktail of a relationship, I feel like we're hitting them all right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're super connected in a lot of ways. So I guess I rate it a 9.5 because I always feel like there's room to improve and be even better. But as far as like where we've come from and what we've been through and right now I would say a 10, but as far as like where we can go, I feel like we can go to 100, we can go to 1,000, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I just feel like there's so much more, but I finally feel like you and I are in a place where we have really gotten to know each other and understand each other to another level that allows us to not really hone in on like the little things about one another, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think for me, I feel like I've always, you know, understood you to a certain extent, but I finally feel like you're starting to understand me to a certain extent where it's kind of alleviated a lot of like the pressure I felt. And I kind of feel like I more so can be a little bit more myself without feeling like you're going to be upset about something. So I think that question would probably be like, what changed with you?
Well, I was going to say, I think what helped me in this change is you being more yourself. And I think with that, you've let down some guards, some walls. The trust has been at a really good place. And not just trust, you know, infidelity wise, trust like that. Well, I mean, I guess you can explain.
I think
the trust part.
I think part of it, like what I've been really working on within myself is retraining myself to get out of like that independent way of thinking, and really trying to think of everything we do, even like, you know, when I was saying stuff about money, it's like I'm rewiring my brain to say more we and, you know, like if instead of like I make X amount a year, it's like we make X amount a year. And I think my natural brain has always been very independent, hence independent Shea.
One of the nicknames.
That I've just been really trying to be more conscious of being more inclusive with you.
I want to stay there because I actually just had one of my regular consultation clients and she was really intrigued as to how you kind of transitioned from that independent Shea to relationship Shea and kind of what that process was like, what it took for that transition and kind of like a step by step.
I think it's just like in anything whether it's like if you're trying to, you know, change a diet, you just have to be very aware and very conscious in the day-to-day moments, you know, with, and I catch myself sometimes, even like you and I were having a conversation yesterday about something and about another married couple. And you were like, oh, well, who's the breadwinner? And I'm trying to get out of like thinking like that. So I'm like, it doesn't matter who the breadwinner is. They're married, you know? And so like even that shift of just like really trying to shift it in my mind. And I think it was like, obviously I've always been aware that I've been like that. But I never had a reason to change it, you know, until like I saw it bleeding into our marriage in the worst ways.
Yeah.
And that's when I just, you know, had the fire in me to want to change it and be more, not just aware, but conscious in my day to day of how I speak of us and how I look at us and how I just don't want to feel that divide. I want to feel like that true unity that comes when you are married, that you're supposed to have when you're married.
Yeah. And I've definitely felt that shift within you. And I think it's really helped me lean more into us because I think initially with independent Shea, and for me, it's not so much independent Justin, but I think it's like guarded Justin, right? So guarded Justin meeting independent Shea is like a recipe for disaster. And if we really think back of majority of our issues and our time together, I think those two people are the cause and the reason for a lot of it. So I
think that, not to interrupt you, but I do think that that's like that dance that a lot of couples get into where it's like that trauma bond where it's like part of my trauma bond is, you know, seeing my mom grow up very independently and not really being inclusive with her within her union, and then just like naturally embedding that into my, you know, upbringing, my life, and now in my marriage. And you are very guarded when you feel like someone's like blocking you out of something. So I feel like we were in that vicious dance of like, you know, I'm being independent and then you're being guarded, and, you know, we can never get out of it because, you know, it's like the trauma bond that we have. So I don't know
and I think, well, to help you out, I think part of that trauma bond and the cycle of it continuing is because we were maybe subconsciously waiting for the other person to kind of say, wave the white flag. Hey, I'm here. I surrender. I want this to work. And I think because we weren't willing to wave that white flag for past traumatic experiences or triggers or just reference points, I think we were like, you know, standing our guard.
Yeah, I think it's also like it's all we known. You know, we built up those trauma bonds at such a young age that it's really all we known. It was part of our identity. You know, it was part of our protection growing up. You know, it was our safe comfort zone that we were in.
Trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was going to say something else and I forgot. But what were you going to say?
I was just going to ask a little bit more about this independent transition, because I think for men too, but not just women. But I think it's really hard for people, especially probably my client just turned 34, and I think in those early to mid 30s is like a real test because, you know, we know women in their 40s right now, and it's like it's really hard for them to let go of their independence because they fear of losing that part of themselves. I know men who are going to be single for life and are in their 40s because they're also afraid of losing their independence. And I think I'll answer, and maybe your thought will come back to you. For me, as much as I'd never had the urge for that independence, I did have the urge to protect my heart. But I also had this bigger urge to create us as a union, as one. And part of that transition from my guards and my walls to letting you in was you've created enough of a safe space and enough of a consistent resume that I can trust it. So my default goes to like protect your heart, right? Protect your mind, protect your emotions. But then I flash back to all the reference points that you've given me where it's like, no, you can trust her. Remember that one time we had that moment where fill in the blank and Shea did, oh yeah, that's right. And I keep going through the repertoire, if you will, again, thinking about your resume. And it really helps me come back into the default mode. It helps me come back to the table of the conflict issue or the trigger issue to say, no, this is us. This is a union. And the other thing that really helps too is I know what it is to do the opposite. I mean, I really know what it is. You talk about growing up with your mom. Growing up with my mom and just my dad, you know, little that I did growing up. But as I got older, seeing him interacting relationships, a lot of it was very much so me first. Selfishly, I'm going to be good. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be good. And that was the mentality I just adopted. And no offense to them, but their life didn't turn out the way that I personally would want to replicate. And so I thought, well, I can't maybe learn from them, but I could definitely learn from their mistakes. And this is something I don't want to repeat. I want a union. And I think part of what blocked me was the fact that I really had to let go of that selfishness, me first, protect myself. Because in protecting myself, I was giving you a way less of a version that you deserved.
Yeah. I think it's also like just looking beyond your own fears. Like I had to really...
What were some of your fears for independence?
I think just like a lot of like the trust, like, can I trust this person? I think, you know, I just feel like, you know, a lot of times it's easier to just lead with fear than love.
Yeah.
And yeah, just trying to really look beyond my fears and what that looks like. And just knowing that if I stepped into that, that's the place that I can if I can get to that place, that's the place that I feel will come with no regret.
Can you explain the place a little bit more? Unpack
like stepping outside of my fear, just like, like let's pretend there's this person's not going to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing that can go wrong. Like, who am I going to be in that moment?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of our relationship, I was never the person that I would be in the moment if I like stepped outside of my fears.
Totally. We're going to talk about that in the next episode for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pardon the interruption, part 2. Right now, I wanted to come in and talk about what you continue to hear me talking about throughout this episode and this season, which is the consultations that I offer. Consultations with JD may or may not be for you, but if they are for you, or you're thinking, can they be for me? Let's go over what entails a consultation with JD. First off, it's one-on-one between you and I, or you and I and Shea, if you'd like, or better yet, you, your partner, me, and Shea. Now, I record every single session via Zoom because of this main reason. You're not going to have to worry about what I said, what you said, what Shea said, what we came up with. You can just focus, and when I send you the recording after the session's over, you can play the recording back, listen to it, watch it as many times as you'd like to soak up all the information that we got throughout that session. Lastly, I'm going to read a couple of different reviews that I've had from my clients I thought I'd share, just again, so you can get an idea of what's the session like with JD. My consultation with JD was a great experience. He allowed me to see my situation from a different point of view, which was very helpful, even more so than my therapy sessions. Sessions with JD can't be described in one word, so I'll use a few. Informative, understanding, deep, sobering, realizing, inspirational, kind, and growing. He shows up just as much as I do, if not more. It's a safe space where I can be myself. He will challenge you to help you grow at your own pace. And you wouldn't think that someone who doesn't know you at all can help you learn about yourself in just a couple sessions. JD is an incredibly skilled coach. He has such an easy way of connecting with you and making you feel seen and understood, yet he isn't afraid to challenge you and hold you accountable. We got right to it our first session, and I walked away with tactical next steps to take towards my goals. You get the sense he has really done the work for himself and is excited to share with others. I can't wait to work with him further. So again, a couple beautiful reviews from some amazing people, ones who I really admire to show up to do the work because it's not easy. But again, you don't have to do it alone. So consultations with JD, the link is in the description below. I'm here when you're ready to get to work. Back to the episode. So I guess back to the transition of the independence. Obviously, you don't really have regret with the transition, but what advice would you give to someone who's really struggling in that department? Just like a bullet point, cliff notes. Like, if you take away anything from the independent talk, what are you leaving them with?
It's so hard because I think it was something that has been in the works for me for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think ultimately it's just a matter of like really, really like wanting it. It's kind of like no different if someone's trying to quit smoking or quit drinking. It's like you have to really, really, really want it and know what you want, like have that clear picture of what you want looks like.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that, I don't know, I just feel like I just really consciously, I think the only advice that I can give is just be conscious about it, conscious, anything in your life. We talk about conscious spending, conscious eating, it's no different.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of times that I catch myself thinking independently and I replace those thoughts with like us.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And so basically like lean more with your will and your determination to change as opposed to just your default mode.
Yeah.
And because it's going to be worth it. And I think too.
But that part of recognizing that is probably the hardest part.
Sure.
Because you're so used to your default and you get so stuck in your own ways of thinking that you don't recognize when you're thinking those ways. So I think that's probably the hardest part. Once you can unlock that, it's like just being
consistent.
Mindful.
Yeah. Yeah. And to add to it, I think understanding that you're trying to change that neural pathway of independent Shea, of independent fill in your blank for your name. And it's going to take time to change that neural pathway. And to change that neural pathway, you have to create new experiences and keep building on those new experiences, adding, okay, I have 5 new experiences, double that. Now I have 10, double that. Now I have 20. And slowly but surely, you're going to have enough experience to know I can trust this new version of me. And that's the default mode will start to slowly but surely fade out.
And that's actually like the rewarding part to it, is when you do start to see how much of an effect it has, like your simple change, how much of an effect it has on, like for me, in my case, it's like with us, like I've seen, because of my actions and my conscious way of thinking now, how much it's like resulted in a better version of you, where it's almost like now I'm pulling a more vulnerable, a more version side of him out of him that I've been wanting. And it's like crazy to think that this whole time I might have had that control. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it takes 2 to tango, but yeah, I think in hindsight now, I realize that was a big block for me. And I think by you removing that block, it then, again, like
allows you to be more open and free. Not to say that you weren't ever vulnerable, because I feel like that's one thing I've always loved about you. But I feel like there was always a piece of you that was missing. And I feel like it's essentially like, I feel like I had the key that whole time. And the moment I brought down my wall was then it gave you an even safer place to bring down the last standing wall you had, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, there you have it. I mean, there's a lot of benefit, and it's very worth it to work on this independence. That's a great answer, because it is, you're right. It's not just about the benefit that you got. It's the benefit that now we got. I got, you got, we got.
And then seeing that only inspires me more, makes me more like, you know, just wanting to like, you know, get even further.
Yeah. And let's be honest too, right? I mean, a lot of it's going to be the struggle of this transition is going to be really tough when you're triggered, right? Because again, I always talk about this, your brain has 2 jobs to focus on. Am I comfortable and am I safe? And when we are triggered in times of conflict, your brain is on overdrive for those 2 things. And if you're just beginning your transition from independent to non-independence, it's going to be really hard for that default to just not show up. So manage your expectations and recognize, like you said, catch it in that moment to say, oh, okay, I think I'm moving more independent Shea here. I'm trying to work on not doing that. Let me try this route. Easier said than done, but it is doable and it is possible for sure. Yeah, that's a great answer, Lev, and a great intro to this season too. That was a beautiful job. And let me just also add too, I'm really proud of you, because I know how hard it is to change something about yourself, especially as we get older. And I know, I shouldn't say I know, I feel like that was probably one of the last major obstacles in the way of us personally, like receiving you. That's what I feel was probably like one of the last pieces. And full circle here to your point, I think that is why we're probably at a 9.5 right. Not only, but a big part as to why we're at a 9.5 right now. And because I used to joke calling you independent Shea, but there was a lot of seriousness behind it, and it did show up in a lot of different areas, whether it was financially, our living situation, fill in the blank, etc. So to now be in this place, like you described earlier, is amazing. It's very welcoming, and I feel way more connected to you.
I mean, I have the best partner for it, because I think from day one, you've always led by example on that aspect. You've always included me in everything, your thoughts, your plans, your visions, your work, every single thing. So I'm sorry it just took me so long to kind of, get there.
Of you, love. Well, it took me a long time to do a lot of shit, so we're going to get into that. But I think it's a good way to start. We'll leave it there. We'll keep this one really short and sweet. Hope that helps you all, and enjoy the next episode.